Hello, it's me again. This is the next day. I spared y'all some of the craziness of me actually sanding this thing. If you notice, I sanded it down. Pretty much did it basically so that I could not the spot where they did the putty right here. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't quite as obvious as it could have been. It's kind of like you kind of look at it and go, "Oh man, that's really kind of meh." Um, so pretty much this is the next day. I'm gonna work on getting some of this stuff down. Now, one of the things that I planned on doing is I'm actually sticking some conductive paint down through the cavities in here, just because that actually is, so I'm told, will help with that. Basically, everything bridging through and moving. Fortunately, I only really have the one area here that I want to get. Um, Decided to use the conductive paint in just like the one spot, basically because it's really expensive. So what I'm gonna do for the rest of the guitar is I have my copper tape. I'm gonna use this to basically insulate the cavities and stuff, but we're not ready for that step yet. The step I'm doing right now is basically because I want to get this guy finished off and everything. I'm gonna use some tung oil, which is kind of a interesting bit as far as finishes go. It's gonna be basically more of a satin finish, and pretty much it just gets kind of rubbed in. And I have, actually, that's gonna go there. So I'm gonna just rub it in here just to do the finish there. And I think it'll probably come out pretty cool. I wanted more of a satin finish for it. I didn't really want to be like, oh my god, this is like all blah. And it'll probably, I imagine from how it's reacting here, it's probably going to take a couple coats for it to get done. I think some of my blue is actually coming off. One of the things that when I talked to the person at the hardware store, because this is not really something I commonly do, they basically pretty much said when I got done, make sure I let the rags dry, since this is a mineral base thing, like just kind of open up the rags that I'm using and put them someplace where they're safe to dry out, because the stuff's flammable when it gets into basically issues here. So it'll be interesting to see how all this does, because after all, since I'm not really a guitarist, so this was my logic in doing this particular project was basically, try something new. I'm gonna basically talk to a couple of people. I have a couple friends who basically said, yeah, sure, we'll do the demo on the body so that we can get a good idea of what this guy sounds like. I'll probably use it to learn to play. I have like one of those cheapy things that you buy, at like, your Best Buy catalog and stuff like that. But it's been kind of frustrating because, playing around with that, because the tuning machines don't really hold tune very well. So pretty much within 5 minutes the thing's out of tune. So it's kind of like, oh my god, this is gonna be really a pain in the butt. But I'm kind of liking how this is, like, I mean, coming out of the pack, the bottle, the tung oil is not really, it's almost like a clear, but it's kind of darkening this, which is kind of cool looking. So I think this will actually look pretty good as far as how all this stuff does. Now, basically, you know, the short supply of the gloves and stuff like that, I was lucky I had gloves lying around, because this is certainly something that I would not want to do gloveless, as far as, because this seems to be pretty not very great stuff, as far as smell and things like that goes. So pretty much on there, it's like how you go about it. And as I said, my project for the thing that shall not be named, you know, this bug that's going around, because since I'm posting this to YouTube, and YouTube actually says, no, you can't post that, and will actually sit there and eliminate videos that mention this, I'm kind of, you know, being careful too, even though I personally don't have to worry about things like ad revenue and all that, because nobody, probably almost nobody will actually see this video, except maybe a couple people from my studio site. My plan on this video is I probably will post it to the studio site when I get done with the series, just because it looks like, you know, kind of an interesting bit, as well as the finished photos, because I'm going to photograph this guy. I photographed the main pieces. I didn't photograph any of the machinery, which I'll probably do before I put it on, just as an example of product photography, and see how that winds up working out. Now, I actually kind of like digging this. This looks like it's getting to be pretty cool looking. I have to thank all the people on YouTube who mentioned using this stuff for a finish, because I'll tell you what, it is looking really nice. And I have this kind of weathered look, which I'm actually digging on this, because I think with the way this is hollowed out, which reason why I picked this is because, well, I figured it looked cool. It was not a very expensive kit, so I figured it would be good for a first build on this and see how well it works. I actually might even send the video to the company that builds the kit, because they actually have a portion of their website that you can actually sit there and post up videos of what you've done with their kits, which personally I think that's really awesome. Because, you know, everybody, what's nice with with something like this is it's open to interpretation, so you can actually do any number of things with basically what they provide you. Now, depending on the feedback I get on it, you know, I might actually decide to change out some bits. The white pick guard that came with it, which, to be honest, I am not in love with, I'm thinking it'll probably look pretty good on this body, with the color it's going to be. So I think this is going to be really kind of cool. So while I'm doing this, it gives you kind of an idea of how it's going to look. And pretty much this tung oil really brings out the grain in here, which is why I kind of decided, because you know they you know, you have the option of painting these guys a solid or something like that. And I looked at the wood grain because the kit actually shows that it has, you know, the pictures of the kit on the website shows that it has this grain to it. And I was like, oh, this would be kind of cool. And I would kind of like to see the grain, which is why I decided to stain it instead of doing a painted finish. And I think it kind of gives it some character on here. You may not agree with me doing the color I did, but I think that's going to be pretty cool. As far as colors and whatnot goes. And it's gonna basically, I'm probably gonna do, it looks like I probably should do a couple coats on these guys. I have the neck here. As you can see, the neck is also the blue. But I wanted to do something that was not the usual colors that people see with a lot of these guys. So, and besides, I like the color blue. I think it looks really cool. So, and as you can see, I have the fretboard all taped off and everything like that. And I'll probably do a few things. I'll name it something just for shits and giggles, just because I can. But you can see here, it's actually, and the neck actually has a nice feel to it. So I'm kind of like, oh, this is pretty cool. So I will get all this stuff done. Basically, pretty much, I'm done with this bit of the video. I'll just finish doing some more of this. The next one's probably going to be basically me doing the copper foil and everything like that, and getting it ready to do all the electronics and things like that, which I'm confirming up how everything works as far as the electronics go. Because, again, this is the first time I've done this, so it's going to be an adventure. Peace out.